Hello and welcome to the Voice of Your Passions business interview series. I'm Stephanie Bonte-Lebair and I'm here with my special guest today, Jeannie Dougherty, who is going to talk all about money mindset today and how we can be better with our money. So I am super excited to have her, and I'm just going to read a short bio. We're going to jump right in. So, Jeannie Dougherty is a certified money coach and a mental fitness coach. She has been money coaching for over a decade because she struggled with her own money issues, which included high debt, owing back taxes, and not so great money communication. She helps working professionals and small business owners stop their cycles of low cash flow and help them find the door to financial success, no matter the state of the economy or a global pandemic. She helps you create your own money back guarantee. Woo, woo. I love it, Jeannie. So happy to have you here
Thank you.
today. So
Yeah.
I always start with the same question, like, why are you passionate about money? Tell me more about this story that you had to live through.
Okay. So, I always feel like this is just like one of those things. Like it's like one of those long buildups. But basically, I survived, like a lot of people, the last recession, and I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time, and I also worked as a counselor. I still am a counselor. I still have a private practice. But what I saw from a money perspective is I saw a lot of people suffering and resources completely dry up, entire neighborhoods go away. And so at that time, my family and I, we moved to the East Coast. I'm out here outside of Washington, D.C. And I was sort of like trying to grapple with, in some ways, the money situation wasn't any different, the cost of living, but the housing was like, whoa, it was like triple compared to that. And so it was like having to try to like pull yourself together after a pretty rough, recession. And then the recession that I experienced, it was from 2004 to 2011.
Hmm.
So I didn't get like 2 years like some parts of the country. I was like, oh no, this is like a 7-year process. So I vowed at that point when I was leaving Arizona that I was going to figure out this money situation. I was like, somebody's making money in this world and isn't just greedy people, but they are like either 2 or 3 steps ahead of the process. And I want to figure this out. Around 2011, I started my very first business as a counselor. And that was like, talk about what you don't know is what you don't know. When you walk yourself into a million money problems, like, oh, so many things. And I still was like determined. And stayed in business and finally got better, if you will, at my money. But there was always, family communication issues. There was always, like, what am I going to do next? Where should I go? Where do I put my money? Like, how do you spend it in terms of advertising or networking or all kinds of things? And so what I realized is that I finally figured out my path pretty okay. And I was able to handle problems like back taxes, credit card debt, all kinds of stuff, saving up for a house, like no problem. But people around me couldn't. And this is like something I completely missed. And I didn't even realize this until 2018. And that is that many people that I saw throughout my entire private practice had major financial problems to the point that they were anxious, depressed, had to see, me and had to see a psychiatrist or something to be put on medication because their money was like, it was like such a problem. It was bigger than them. They didn't know how to fix it. And the truth is, really nobody does. Nobody really knows how to fix it. It's really kind of up to you because you're the one who has to make the decisions. But I still didn't know until 2018 that there is this thing called money coaching. I was like, wait, what? This is a job? I should be money coaching. I love this stuff. I love talking to people about money and how you can make it work for you, how you can get better at it, and how, basically financial leaders are created. They're never born. And every multimillionaire, billionaire, well, except for a few out there, but most people are not born into it. Most people ended up starting with like an idea and then another wild idea, and then they got the right people involved, to make sure that the idea would work, and it's just that's really how most people get it done. And so I think that if anything, we need to be kinder to ourselves when our money situation is not as good. And we also need to be like, how can I learn from this experience? What is the moment here that I'm going to learn something? So for me, what I found, what really helped me get through this process is like talking to people who had a business for 10 years or 15 or 20, and they would all chuckle, oh yeah, the money situation's always a nightmare the first 10 years. I was like, oh, what do you mean it's the first 10? And they're like, oh, yeah, because you were trying to figure out your niche. You're trying to work with your first kinds of customers. They might be very demanding or they might be very loyal. You're trying to figure out where you want to expand. By the time you've been in business for 10 or 20 years, you pretty much know what you're going to do. And hearing that kind of business advice made me go, oh, So I didn't feel like I was such an idiot for the first 5 years because I was like, I think I know what I'm doing, but maybe not. Versus now, I'm
Yeah.
like, I know what I can do.
Yeah, and it's so true though that our financial literacy as entrepreneurs is a hands-on educational process. Like we don't have classes before we start a business on how to be in business and be profitable. Most of us don't have a financial background, in the at that level to be able to avoid some of the mistakes that happen to those startups. And I had a major transition in my business from I didn't have a money problem when I first was in business, but my model shifted so dramatically as I went through my business journey that the
Yes.
model shift created a financial wonkiness, right? It was like suddenly not consistent anymore. Suddenly it was like up 1 month and down the next, but it was because of the remaking of my business, right? And so I think that speaks to that. When you try to get started, there's like a struggle financially if you're not used to that sort of way of being with your money. Um, and I definitely have had those 9 to 5 jobs where I didn't have to worry. I always knew how much money I was going to make. And then as an
Right.
entrepreneur, it's like, whoa, it's a totally different thing. So can you tell me more about the transformation that you help your clients achieve what do they struggle with when they first come to you? And then how do you help transform that for them?
Oh, yeah, great question. So typically what happens is by the time clients come to see me, there's been some type of, like you said, money wonkiness. There's some type of money issue that is impacting their lives. So it could be a divorce, could be a health issue. So it could be your child, it could be your spouse, it could be you that's impacted your money, could be economic. Maybe something dried up again in this gosh darn pandemic, something else shifted. Surprise, surprise. Or you're like a lot of people, which is like you're up and down, even if you have a business because you haven't really figured out how to keep a steady stream of money coming in. That was weird. I didn't know that one. How did I do that? So that's typically the people that I see. So they're like very intelligent, very passionate, very caring, and are ready to like make the change because they're like, I can't keep living like this. Like it's causing me more stress trying to figure this out. And sometimes you have to kind of go, what would an expert tell me? Somebody who actually has maybe been through some of this mess or some of this who's been, okay. So the transformation is really unique. I work with all my clients on an app. And so the app actually helps retrain your brain. And so when you're able to retrain your brain from scarcity and competition, guilt, shame, and blame to creativity, oh, to positive thinking, oh, to making smarter choices, oh, to actually making money, oh, it works. It
Nice. So
works.
you're using technology to support you in your coaching, which I
That's
love
right.
that. I love
Yes,
that.
and the technology is designed, or it was designed by a very famous neuroscientist out of Stanford, and so he actually had a very really hard childhood. He was extremely bright. That was like one of his gifts, but he was terrible to work with, and he kept getting that feedback. And so he was like, "How can I get better at my life?" And so he created a whole mental fitness app. And then I met with him, and he actually had surprise money issues. And I was like, well, here's how you use the app for people who have money issues. And he
Nice.
was like, oh, good, you do it. Because he wanted to do it. And I was like, okay, I'll go do it. So I was able to integrate his work with my own with the money coaching. And so it's a really unique process, but it's like in 10 weeks, you'll have a brand new brain.
I
And
love it.
you can go to live your life, and you don't have to sit there and be like, I better call my financial expert every time I want to make a money decision. You'll actually know what you want to do and then tell them what you'd like to do, and you're willing to hear the feedback. Because I listen to that on the other spectrum, which is that there's all these, brilliant, CPAs, certified, public accountants, and certified, financial professionals that can really show you different strategies with different products and tools and how to work with the market and your savings and your taxes, blah, 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 blah. But you have somebody who is terrified, who's stressed out, they're never going to hear it.
Yeah.
So that's why nothing changes.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to have the confidence to execute a plan, right? You can go to a financial planner and they can tell you, here's my recommendation. But if you don't have the confidence, or if you feel like you just don't know if you can follow through on advice, like that's where I think somebody like you could really be helpful, to really help smooth the way a little bit. So do you have a success story of a specific person that you have supported with their money story?
Yes. So During this pandemic, I had a single mom reach out to me, and she was like, "Listen, this is what's going on." She was about to get fired, not fired. I'm sorry. It was what do you call it? They were just ending her contract,
Mm,
and so she had a job, and she could apply for maybe a second one, but she really couldn't stand the place. It was really toxic. So she was like, "I don't think I want to do this," and she had enough, like if you will, a little bit of her own side hustle that she could kind of keep her business going, if you will, but she knew she didn't want to go full time into it because she wanted to do some other things. She wanted to add other services to her whole money situation. So what I did is I worked with her actually for about 12 weeks, and we actually were able to get her out of this place of like, I'm terrified. I'm not gonna be able to handle this with my money. I'm not gonna be able to do that. Like she was like looking at unemployment. Like she was really terrified. And I was like, listen, we're going to just reprogram your brain. We're going to have you focus on the following. And then next thing you know, her business has been just easily flowing, no stress. And she still had time to go back to school, to pay for all her bills and take on additional expenses. And she's not sweating and she's not worried anymore. And her stress has gone way down. And she's a single mom with 2 kids. Like nobody has
nice.
time for more drama, especially a single parent. And she was just
Yeah.
like, wow. She's like, if you told me in 6 months, 6 months ago this was going to happen, she's like, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah. And money can
Because
be such a stressor, right? Like
mhm.
being a single mom, there's enough stress in, I'm sure, in her life as it is to have to also worry about how you're going to pay the bills. So, oh my
Right.
gosh.
And money is it actually lives in our survival part of our brain. And the only way to get it to, if you will, the thrive part of our brain is to train it. There's like no
Mm,
like miracle. You actually have to do daily practice. And what's great about the program that I do, it's only 15 minutes a day. It's not like your entire life has to be
right.
like dedicated to this. It's 15 minutes a day.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So,
Yeah.
can you share a business building tip with our viewers today?
I love money business building tips. Okay, so my favorite way to talk to people about money when it comes to your business, I will ask them. This is a great accounting question, and accountants and I sometimes would disagree. So, like, what exactly is an asset and what is a liability in your business? So, a lot of times people will tell me, like, well, I have to pay my phone. Like that's my thing. That becomes what, a liability because it's an expense. But I'm like, no, your phone is your asset. Why? Because you can take phone calls or text messages or emails to all kinds of people who can support your business. It helps you maintain your connections. You can, run your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, all of that from your phone. So it's really more your asset than it is a liability. What you're asking for is just a simple, way to get paid so that that bill is paid every month. But that's pretty easy to do. So one of my biggest business ideas here is just for you to move from a place of like, oh, shoot, it's another bill I got to pay this month, instead of like, how does this bill serve me? How does it actually help me grow? How is it that when I get myself, on the phone, or I send an email, or I, chat with somebody on social media, that I'm not actually building my business even more? Because then people get to know me, they get to like me, and they get to trust me, and they get to value what it is that I do. So when you can just take a small shift like that, then we're not spending, countless hours on advertising and
Yeah,
dollars. And then, where should you be doing your networking?
right.
Just, you know
Well,
what I
Nick,
mean? Like
you could
people,
say the same thing about your computer, right? Your computer
right.
is an asset because it allows you to get on Zoom, right? It allows you to get on Be Live. We're on Be Live here today. So
Yeah.
I have subscriptions to those, but it's interesting to think of those as, hey, these are money making investments. They're not just expenses. They are helping me connect to people and to use my voice powerfully for networking events, for speaking engagements, for interviews like this. And that is the best way to monetize your marketing, is when you're using your voice, when you're actually showing up and speaking to people. So I love that kind of reframe on where you're spending your money and how you're thinking about it. Is it an asset or an expense? So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for
Yes.
that. You
Yes.
have a gift for all of us today. Can you describe what it is?
Yes. So I have a free money masterclass. It's actually going to be this Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But sign up, and it's here on Facebook. I have the event created, as well as on LinkedIn. I have another event created, and you can just hop on and just, you can see, the full hour of what is it like when you're actually able to retrain your brain. and get somewhere and go like amazing places and have great success stories, even with myself, and how I figured it out and how I show all my clients how to do it.
So learn about how to retrain your brain for money success on your masterclass this Thursday. And if you're watching this after the date, you can still put a comment in because I'm sure Jeannie's going to have another one.
That's right.
so do your hashtag Money Master as a Money Master as a comment, and we will make sure you get whatever the next webinar is that Jeannie's holding on money mindset, how to retrain your brain, how to think about money differently so you can be more confident and you can be more profitable as a business owner. So thank you, Jeannie, for this wonderful little interview. I love these interviews. It's just to get to know you a little bit better, offer some value to our listeners. And if you loved meeting Jeannie on this video, you can meet more amazing service-based business owners at Empowered Business Networking. We are a virtual international networking mastermind group with members from all over the United States, Canada, and beyond. And you can go to ebnnetworking.com and check out our next event. So with that, thank you, everyone, and we will see you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.